On September 9th, 1999, the Dreamcast hit shelves across the United States. The thing was a revelation. Its CPU ran at 200 MHz, more than double the Nintendo 64's 93.75, and absolutely obliterating the PlayStation's 33.9. It could push around 3 million polygons per second, while the N64 topped out around 150,000, and the PS1 hovered near 180,000. I'm not going to run down the entire spec sheet here, the chart on screen can do that for me, but the point is simple. The Dreamcast wasn't just ahead of the competition, it felt like it came straight from the future. Of course, a great launch needs more than horsepower, it needs games, and the Dreamcast delivered. I've started the long journey of playing through every single NTSC Dreamcast game ever released, and we're beginning with a launch title that's been mostly lost to the sands of time, AirForce Delta. This was Konami's take on the jet fighter genre. People often call it their answer to Ace Combat, but honestly, that doesn't hold up. Ace Combat is a cinematic military drama. AirForce Delta is an arcade-style shooter wearing a flight suit. I even dug through the original Japanese Dreamcast magazine coverage from 1999, and not once did Konami or the press frame it as a competitor. It was doing its own thing from day one. Now let's dive in and see just how well it does that thing. The game opens up by telling you the history of the world you're in. It's a slightly long read, longer than I'd prefer. Here's a quicker version. In the near future, the Republic of Laconia secedes from the Zabiral Federation, sparking a long, escalating conflict. After losing most of its air force in a devastating battle, Laconia forms a mercenary unit, AirForce Delta, to defend its sovereignty. The game follows this unit as it pushes back against invading forces, intercepts stealth threats, and ultimately faces a rogue ace pilot who was once one of their own. Like most games of this era, the game really doesn't tell you much about how to play it. The first mission serves as a bit of a tutorial as it has you fly out and take out a few super easy enemies. Through that, you'll learn how to shoot the missiles, waste your time firing the machine guns, and maneuver the plane in all dimensions. If you're like me, you'll end that mission thinking the game seems pretty chill and fun. Then comes the second mission, where the game really ramps things up. In the second mission, I had to buy out some boats and some planes. Using the money I earned from the first mission, I buy myself an upgraded plane, Kafir C7. I take out a boat, no big deal. Then, for the first time, I'm being locked on two enemies. There's a plane on my butt, and for the life of me, I can't figure out how to shake them. We just dance in circles. I manage a shot at them, but miss horribly. I get a better feel for the locking system, though, as I take out part of a boat. I ultimately lose, though, going full goose mode and getting shot down. Mission 2 is not going well. I've now lost my fancy new plane, and I will proceed to crash many more times. This forced me to actually kind of look around and find a guide from 2002 where I learned that there is such a thing as accelerating and decelerating, which helped. If I can survive to get the last one, I think we can do it. But that's a big if. I'm about to turn into like 500 planes. Finally, actually winning that mission was a big moment, as you can see. That was way more of a fight than I was ready for. Mission 3 tasked me with going and taking out some tanks and various military facilities. Honestly, it was pretty chill, especially when compared to the second. There were other planes, but they really weren't anything that I had to be worried about. So overall, the mission was honestly kind of easy, especially when you compare it to the 5 fails I had previously. Honestly, I was feeling myself. I mean, just look at that idiot. The next mission was all about taking out some reconnaissance planes while they were in the process of refueling. While you have to try to keep them within range because they can escape the area, it overall wasn't all that difficult. And by the end of it, I felt actually pretty good, like I was kind of getting a real understanding of how to play the game. So on mission 5, I ran into a bit of an OBS issue where I was recording it incorrectly, and that created a whole thing, but I will let this guy explain it to you. Alright, so I lost a bunch of footage because of an OBS thing. I've played this mission 3 times, and now when I realized the issue, to get out of the mission I was in because it wasn't recording, I took my plane and I threw it to the ground. And now I have one plane left when I used to have two. This is going to create a big problem and he doesn't know it yet. Let's risk the Phantom. The F4E, that thing looks sweet, right? This mission is essentially a big giant dogfight where you have to fight several planes. I believe it's 5. Problem is, a couple of them are pretty high level. Some are stealth fighters. You only see them for a brief period of time. I had lost 3 times to this while it wasn't recording, and I really wasn't done losing. This mission kind of broke me. And this right here is the situation I was in on the first run. And this just kept happening with this guy. I would get all of the ones except for him, and then I would have to circle around and try my darndest to get him, but he would get behind me. I couldn't get behind him. I could never get a shot. I would see him for just a moment. He would dart off, and I just couldn't figure out why I was unable to get a hold of him. Frustrated and properly defeated by this mission, I eventually decided I had to just give up and come at it again the next day. On day 2, it dawned on me that I wasn't doing nearly enough in terms of upgrading my planes. Problem is, I had no money. So, I restarted the entire game so that I could theoretically get through with money and upgrade my planes as I went. Because I speculated that a faster plane with better handling and whatnot might have a much better shot at that horrible 5th mission. To my dismay though, things did not work out as I envisioned. Still had the same problem. Yay. Uncertain as to what to do, I turned to the only resource that made sense. I went on YouTube and I watched someone beat him. And just like when I read the guide for the first time, I had a revelation that made me feel like a complete idiot. Maybe I shouldn't have my accelerator on at all when I'm like focusing on an enemy to fire. And with that new knowledge, it was time to run it again. This made a huge difference, as it made it far easier to keep people in sight when I was trying to track them down to fire. That's one of my proudest gaming moments in a very, very long time. Holy crap. I queued up for mission 6, admittedly terrified of what I was going to see when I got there, considering what 5 had been like. The mission is everyone's kind of favorite mission in the world. It is an escort mission where you have these prisoners that are going to be taking off in a civilian aircraft, and it's your duty to ensure that they get there safely. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I lost 5 times to this before finally completing it. Literally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After barely making it through mission 6, I bought a Tornado F3 and headed on to mission 7, which is this really cool mission where you fly through this gorge and take stuff out. It's pretty tight. At the end of it, you go to this base where you have to clear it. But unfortunately, things did not go entirely smoothly for me. Luckily though, 3rd time's the charm. On to mission 8, where our job is to secure the area above a POW camp so our boys can escape. That's right. This time, I only lost 4 times. That's called growth. While happy to be finished with that mission, I'm gonna be honest to say that I was thoroughly not enjoying myself by this point. This game is way more brutal than you'd think it would be, especially considering that I was playing it on normal. I can't imagine how masochistic you have to be to play it on hard. That being said, enough likes on this video and I'll try. The next mission is all about preventing them from trading uranium. So you're gonna blow up some train cars, stuff like that. Pretty sick. While there's nothing I would love more than to complete one of these in literally just one run, doing it in two feels not too bad considering how many I've done half a dozen plus times at this point. Mission 10 sees us securing an oil refinery. Believe it or not, we just finished one in only one run, despite our health being quite poor. In Mission 11, we see that our governments have decided that they're going to get together and have some kind of peace deal. However, the enemies decided they don't really want to do that, and instead, they're going to blast off missiles and try to create some chaos. So your job is to prevent that. Somehow, we're on a bit of a hot streak here. For our 12th mission, we're going to go out into the forest and destroy an enemy fortress, but we also have to destroy a big carrier that's carrying a nuclear payload. No pressure, right? After losing literally 4 times and 4 ships as a result, I realized that I desperately needed cash. So I figured out I could go to the first mission and run that a bunch of times to get money to get something really great. So I quite literally played the first mission 12 straight times. This allowed me to open up the shop and truly have my pick of the litter. I immediately lost that new plane, but luckily I had remembered that there's this thing called saving and loading, which the game allows for. 2 crashes later, and I finally have myself a pretty good little run. And while I've been cutting these short, I'm gonna let you watch a little more of this. The relief I felt, hard to put into words. The next mission rips, as we are literally attacking a medieval castle that they have made into a fortress. I absolutely shred the first run, knocking out everything but 1 or 2 things before disaster strikes. The next run contained a little bit of magic as well, though. I got it on my 2nd run. It's almost like I'm learning. Look how joyous he looks. Stupid boy. Mission 14 sends you to do something pretty sick. There is a satellite plummeting to Earth, and it's gonna hit near something, so you need to go and prevent that. However, there's enemy planes trying to prevent you from preventing that, so you have this really tiny little amount of time to get it done. This was, of course, like everything else in this game, no easy task. It's a very finite amount of time the game gives you. The thing can fall on you. You also have enemy planes shooting at you. I failed and I failed and I failed before I eventually had a good run. Our next mission has us out in the Arctic attempting to find the base for submarines that have been attacking ships. So we gotta find the base, go out there and put a stop to their nonsense. Of course, once we get out there, they put up a pretty good fight. eventually, through the heart of the cards, we were victorious. In our next mission, we're attacking our former base, which is super secure and up in the mountains. A little confusing at first to get around, but overall, pretty sick. Admittedly, on my first run, I spent the entire time lost before eventually getting shot down. But then I figured it out and felt like an idiot. Before the next round, I went to the shop screen and discovered what I believe to be the best plane in the game. Super high stats plus stealth, come on. Our next mission sends us back to the open seas to handle business. After being an idiot on multiple occasions, eventually I got to the point where it was just me versus another plane, and I pulled it off. The 18th mission sends us out to take care of something they call the Island Fortress, which our intel knows very little about, but I'm going to be sent out here by myself to get it done. I guess I'm just the greatest pilot in the history of mankind, and believe it or not, I actually got it done on the very first try. I also don't know how that happened. But after this, we're hit with this cutscene. It appears that our mission wasn't quite as successful as it seems. Also, I'd like to note that you see 3 planes here, but I was alone. Our next mission sends us right back out here, this time to prevent them from launching nukes. They're going full Hail Mary here. Our first run went pretty well for a while, but ultimately we got shot down. Second one was going well, but there's a stealth fighter that I left for myself at the end, and then we started dancing, my least favorite thing in the game. Third run went the same way as the second. And so we begin the 20th and final mission of the game, a 1v1 dogfight absolute slugfest with the leader of their Air Force. Trying to get him in front of you so that you can actually aim at him is about impossible. He's always sliding behind you every time you see him. He darts off. It's virtually impossible. The first mission round ended with the timer just expiring, which is exactly what I was afraid was going to happen in a 1v1 dogfight like that. Round 2 resulted in me messing up a bit of a loop-de-loop and going for a swim. Round 3 started with me managing to get him on the opening lap, so I felt pretty okay. On the next run, I made a point of keeping my distance a little bit here. So see, we're engaging them at like 10K and just kind of slowly watching them. I Get him a couple times, turn until I can shoot a couple more, and then magic happens. But the game gives me a little bit of fear here, as it doesn't say mission accomplished for a moment. And then it does. A little tease. So there we have it. We've beat AirForce Delta, a launch title by Konami for the Dreamcast that I had never really heard about prior to starting this challenge of beating every NTSC released Dreamcast game. Honestly, it's a shame that people don't know this game. Yes, it's difficult. It can be a little brutal. Sometimes the locking on system and the way you have to shift between the things you are targeting doesn't always work perfectly. But at the end of the day, this was a genuinely very good game. And I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of this long, arduous Dreamcast journey. And keep living the dream, cast.